The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. There was a Jewish festival, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now at the sheep pool in Jerusalem, there is a building called Bethsaida, in Hebrew, consisting of 5 porticos, and under these were crowds of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed. One man there had an illness which had him lasted for 38 years. And when Jesus saw him lying there, he knew that he had been in this condition for a very long time. He said, "Do you want to be well again?" "Sir," replied the sick man, "I have no one to put me into the pool where the water is disturbed. And while I am on my way, someone else gets there first before me." And Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your sleeping mat and walk." The man was cured at once, and he picked up his mat and he walked away. Now that day happened to be the Sabbath. So the Jews said to the man who had been cured, "It is the Sabbath. You are not allowed to carry your sleeping mat." And he replied, "But the man who cured me told me, 'Pick up my mat and walk.'" And they asked, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Pick up your mat and walk'?" And the man had no idea who it was, since Jesus had disappeared into the crowd that filled the place. And after a while, Jesus met him in the temple and said, "Now you are well again. Be sure to sin no more, or something worse may happen to you." And the man went back and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had cured him. It was because he did things like this on the Sabbath that the Jews began to persecute Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord. You know, I love the church's readings. I love how they work. I love how they feed us. I love how they challenge us. I love how they move us along in this middle time of Lent where we are experiencing this desert, arid land. Remember, Lent is this desert time into which we have been plunged for these 40 days. Our first reading from the prophet Ezekiel. The angel took the prophet up to the high mountain, and that's up to the temple, up to the parapet of the temple. And he said, "Look eastwards." Now, if you're up at the parapet of the temple and you look eastwards, what you see is the Kedron Valley, the Mount of Olives. And then if you look in the distance behind that, what you will see is the Dead Sea. That's a sea that has no life. Nothing lives in it. Nothing lives around it. Rich in minerals, but zero in life. It brings life to nothing. It is absolutely dead. And then we have this reading that from this temple, from the heart of the temple, will flow a stream. And as the stream is flowing, he wades through it, and his feet get wet. Then he said, "Measure out another cubit." He wades in it again, and now it's up to his thighs. Wade in it again, it's up to his waist. Wade in it again, and he keeps measuring out more and more. And with each measure, the water gets higher and higher. And this is an image of faith. This is what faith is. In our first encounter with faith, we wade through the stream, the waters of baptism. And in the waters of baptism, we come to faith. But it's just a little trickle at this stage. But as we go to the next stage and we make a conscious choice to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, where we make his word our home and we make his command our life's call, and we seek out vocation, then the water now is up to the thighs. As we wade a little more into this river of faith, and we come to that place where we are missionary disciples and we want to give our life to Christ. And we are ready now to go to others and to bring the good news to other people. And in this bringing the good news to other people, we are ready now for the hardships of the gospel. And we're ready to be generous with our life and to give our time, talent, our treasure to God. And we're not counting cost anymore. But we are being generous because we have encountered the generosity that God has given to us, because now the water is up to our waist. And we are experiencing a fullness of this love. Measure out again. And now the water is over our head. And that's mystical union with Christ. That's where we and Christ become one. I am in you and you are in me. Abide in me as I abide in you. And this is the ultimate call of every Christian, to enter into mystical union with their God. This is the apex of the Christian call. And this is what the prophet is measuring out, the different stages of development of Christian faith. Where are you along this journey of faith? Where are you? Just water at your ankles? Or ready to go further as a disciple, or further as a missionary disciple? Or ultimately to mystical union with God? And hear what the reading says. That as the river swells, it brings life to the Dead Sea. It brings life to that sea that had no life in it at all. And fish start teeming. And on the banks, trees are growing. And the leaves of the tree are medicinal. And whoever wades into the water finds life. And that's what happens to the soul when we give ourselves completely to our God. That the desert turns into a fertile field, and the dry land becomes a wilderness with incredible life teeming in it. And the Dead Sea that could give no life is transformed into life-giving water, and it wells up inside of us to eternal life. This is the promise of Jesus Christ in the midst of this COVID desert in which we are living. Do not stop short on the early stages of faith. So many of us have hovered with our ankles in the water, stepping back into dry land. Do not be satisfied by just touching faith lightly. This is the moment in the midst of this desert to wade in the water. Wade deep into this water, because God is troubling up this water to teem with life inside of us, that we will bring life to everyone that we touch. And this is the living water that he speaks about. This is the life. This is the Christ life that we speak about. I invite you today to see where you are in your journey of faith and measure out the next cubit. And delve deeper and deeper into this life-giving water that he's inviting us to.